Let's take a look at the steps required to create a custom curtain wall solution that will produce something similar to what I have on the screen right now. This is a sort of a mid-century shelving system, loosely based on that. It's comprised of pipes and boxes that create a shelving system that could be anchored to a wall. And I thought this would be a great example to show how to create a checkerboard pattern, something that's a little tricky to do with curtain walls because it requires a in-depth understanding of cell control and cell placement within a curtain wall. The cells are these areas here between the pipes and are usually populated with something called an infill. So let's go ahead and take a look at the logic behind creating something like that. So on my screen I have an AutoCAD 2D drawing that I'm going to show you here with a rectangle. This is the only area I'm focused on or concerned with. The other parts here are just the repeat of the pattern. So this area is what I have to design, and then that pattern will just repeat as shown on the screen. So what you need to keep in mind here as I build it, and you can probably come back to this part in the YouTube video as a reference, is that I have my frames, which are in yellow, left and right, and then I have my major divisions. That's these two lines here, so a major horizontal and a major vertical, and then I have my minors are these two divisions, again horizontal and vertical. By having these, what I'm calling majors and minors, those are my terms. What they do is divide this into four. You have four cells that can be populated with infills, and the terminology when you do just four would be like top, bottom, or left, right. If you do three, it'll be like top, middle, bottom, or left, center, right. And you'll see that if you work with curtain walls. When you go beyond those numbers, then you have to use something like location that you can identify by index number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But for just 3, it goes up to 3. It offers some default naming and options on how to address these cells. In addition to that, I'm going to do a leg, a horizontal leg division, which is this magenta line. So let's get started. I'll do a blank drawing here, start from scratch, and I will type in curtain wall style, and the name I'll give it is shelving system. Let's see, system 1, and I'm just putting a number on it out of habit because I tend to create lots of versions and permutations. I give them each a separate number. We'll go down to mullions. Now in this case, since it's a piece of furniture, mullions is maybe not the right term. So let's rename that and also give it a value. So I will say horizontal pipes and give it a value of 1.5. Now these are going to be rectangular, and we'll come back and we'll make them round later. I'm just going to one-click here, right-click, and then do new to copy those values. Vertical pipes, and one more, legs. All right, and I'll go to frames, and the frames are not really frames; they're just the end pipes. So let's call them end pipes with the same value, 1.5 and 1.5. Infills. So the infills are the things that go into the cells. We will want one that's blank. So we'll name it blank and give it a thickness of 0. Then we'll do another one. We'll call it shelf. And we'll make the shelf, I'll do 0.5 right now. This is a placeholder. It's temporary. We'll come back and work on this some more. But it's a simple panel with a ½ thickness. And let's go to divisions. Now, whenever you create a curtain wall from scratch, they give you a bunch of these defaults. And rather than get rid of them, I'll just rename this one. So I will want a major horizontals. So I'll just go ahead and label it horizontals. And I will want the orientation to be horizontal, so that's good. I want fixed cell dimension, that's good. I don't want auto adjust, that's something you can play with later on your own. I will do everything with very fixed values to make this easier to follow. And I will do my major horizontals at 4 feet. And move on to the next one here, verticals. I will call this one major verticals. And let's check this orientation. We want that to be vertical, fixed cell dimensions good, no auto adjust over here, and we'll make this one 6 feet. So that defines that lower corner that I drew a rectangle around. This is the major portion of that rectangle. Within that rectangle are going to be my patterns. So now I'll make a new one and I will call it minor horizontals. And I'll set the orientation horizontal, fixed cell dimension, and I will want these at 2 feet, which is half of the majors. I'm dividing these up with numbers. Now you can go down here and you could probably use something like a fixed number cell and just divide it by 2 or something. But I will stay with these numbers just because I know it'll make sense to anybody who's doing this for the first time. So you can see, oh, it's 2 and it's half of 4 and that so on. And I will do another one here. We'll do minor verticals. And this will be vertical, this will be fixed cell dimension, and it will be half of the major, which is 3 feet. And the last one we'll do is leg height. And the leg height will do something a little bit different. It's not a repeating pattern, it's a fixed position on the curtain wall. So we'll go ahead and set it to horizontal, but we'll go down to manual, and we'll add a new grid over here. We'll set this to from bottom, and 1'4" is what I did in that example one, so that works out pretty well. So it's 16 inches above the floor is where the first shelf will start. So the legs are this tall. Okay, now we'll go up to the primary grid. You can rename this term if you want. Primary grid can be renamed. But we don't want to start with their default of major horizontals. I'm going to start with the legs, leg height, right? So what I've done, if you look down here, is it's brought up that value again from the divisions, and it's showing that I now have a horizontal line. So if you envision a rectangle, there's now a horizontal line in that rectangle at this height from the bottom up. So it's created a top and a bottom now. So we can take advantage of that 2 cells. And we'll go ahead and we'll do a new here in the cell assignments, and let's call this one legs. And go over here to where it's used. We want it to be used in the bottom cell. Okay. So that's bottom, and everything else, I'm going to rename this to body, will be above the legs. All right, we'll go to the frame, and we only want the left and the right. So clicking on the ellipsis button gets me access to the where it's used, and I don't want a top and I don't want a bottom. So that leaves me with left and right. And then finally, we'll take a look at the pipes. So the pipe orientation, or the name we used, is horizontal here. It's come up by default. Does that match the orientation up here? Yes, horizontal to horizontal, so that's good. If yours doesn't say that, go ahead and select that, and you've got your horizontal pipes. So now that I have my body, I'll go ahead and click here on body. I will want to create probably the verticals of my body. I can continue in the horizontal direction or the vertical, but I'll switch to the verticals. And it's done that by default because that's how this curtain wall, the default one was set up, and we renamed it to major verticals. So if I'm doing that, that means now I'm going to have a left side and a right side coming out of this work. So I'm going to go ahead now and go ahead and set this to nested grid. And I want this nested grid to be set to minor, minor verticals here. Okay. And then I will go ahead and I will rename this. Let's see if it'll let me in here. I will rename this left and right. Let's check the rest of the settings here. So if this is verticals, this is major verticals, and this one is minor verticals. I don't know how that, this is major, and this one is minor. I don't know what happened there, but I probably skipped over. Let's go back up and take a look. We've got our major verticals, and we want the pipes to be set to vertical pipes. I jumped down too fast, so I apologize for that. This is major verticals. The nested grid here and end pipes won't matter anymore, part of the frame. Now we can jump down to the left and the right. This would be minor verticals, and this will use vertical pipes. And now what we can do is address the left and the right. So we'll go ahead and set this to nested grid. And we'll rename this. You can't rename it there, you rename it over here. We'll call this one left. And we'll do another one we'll call right. Okay, so because I'm on my minors divided my major into two, and these are verticals, so that gives me a left and a right side. That's what I'm working on right now. So that's why I also named this the left and the right. I'm saying left and right here because it's both. You can name it whatever makes sense to you. And now I have my left side that I will go ahead. Now I can't do an adjustment on left. You'll see it's automatically set to all, but I can do the right. So I'll go ahead and just make the right the end. Assuming I'm drawing from left to right on the screen, the right will be on the end. It doesn't really matter if you call it start or end, but make sure that it only is one of them. That way the other one will be the other side. Okay, so what do we have for frame assignments? We have, that doesn't matter anymore, and then this is verticals. We want our vertical pipes. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and work on the left and the right individually. So I'll pick on left. And the left will now start my horizontals. So I will do my major horizontal. And I will go ahead and change the cell assignment here to a nested grid so that I can do the minor horizontals. And I might want to rename this to, how about left, top, and bottom. Okay, so I'm going back up here to the left and finishing off. So we want to make sure that major horizontals has horizontal pipes. That's good. Now we'll go down to the left, top, and bottom and set this to the minor horizontals. So make sure this is major horizontals and minor horizontals. So the pattern is really kind of repeating, right? We did verticals first, now we're doing our horizontals. So this is the deepest we need to go for the left and the right, inside or top. This is the deepest we need to go for top and bottom on the left portion of the grid. So I have my minor horizontals now. So I'll go ahead and set another nested grid. And you'll notice now it's offering top and bottom because it's divided by horizontal. And one of these will set to shelf. So I'll go ahead and set this to bottom. Okay. Now let's go down here. So these are horizontals. Okay. Now this will be important. This order right here, all the work that I just went through, it's really about getting to here. you'll notice I have the shelf on the bottom and a blank on the top, really. That's what's happening here, right? So, and I did all of this for the left side. So guess what? We got to go to the right side and do the same thing again. So on the right, we want our minor. Let's see here. Did we want minor? We want our major. That's right. We want our major horizontals. And then we'll go ahead and do a nested grid. And we can rename this maybe right, top, and bottom. So I have my, this will now be set to the minor horizontals. All right, so let's check here to make sure. This is major horizontals. This is major horizontals. And minor horizontals and minor horizontals. Okay, so that's all looking pretty good. And what I will want now is the same thing I did for left, top and bottom. I'm going to do for right, top and bottom. So blank is good here, but we'll do, let's see, maybe shelf. And we'll set, let's see, what did I do here? I did, blank was all assigned and shelf was bottom. So wherever shelf is here, I need shelf to be top. Now, just because I've tinkered with this and played around with this before, I'm pretty sure we're going to come back here and modify this. I just found some weird thing that happens with this particular example that we'll need to put the blank. We have to switch. Blank can't be all unassigned spaces in both for optimum results. So let's come back to that. And let's see, horizontal pipes. Okay. Let's draw it now. I know there's I have to work on the legs and stuff and come back, but this would be a good place to take a look at what we created. So apply, and okay, and then do curtain wall, add. All right, for height, maybe 7 feet, maybe 7'4". It doesn't matter. I think 7'4" is good, and then we'll just draw it this direction, 12 feet. Now the 12 feet is because I divided it 6 foot and 6 foot, right? So it's got to be some value. Oh, and I didn't set the style when I drew it. It just went to standard. We'll want to set it to our style. There we go. So if you draw it somewhere outside of that value, something like this, you're going to get some weird results because the numbers are fixed. This is meant for exact numbers, so 12 feet is what it was really meant for. All right, and I can't quite tell what's filled in and what's not filled in. It looks like everything is filled in, so we'll come back and take a look at that. We'll go to View, and we'll go to, let's take a look, Conceptual. Okay, so if you recall, I mentioned something funny about having to go back and take a look at the last infills there about all unassigned. So that's what this is. But I'm going to fix the legs first because that's the first thing here that I see. So I'll pick on the curtain wall, right click, edit curtain wall style. Let's go down to the legs portion. Okay, so it has major verticals. So that's the major here in the middle. We want the minors, right? So we'll go ahead and do nested grid. And we can rename that to, let's see here, rename, let's just say like inner legs. And we'll want the minor verticals for that. And then legs here, blank is good. The same thing here, we'll want the legs here. And pipes already set to none, so that's good. Let's check and see if that works. Okay, so there we go. So we've got the legs down there, and let's take a look at that pattern. What's going on in that pattern? In fact, we could pull it up a bit more and see what's going on. So notice how it's doing you know, a good pattern here, but it's the top part that gets weird. And no matter what you do, it seems to just have this thing where it won't quite. Now there, that looks pretty good. But as soon as you get sort of a little extra, it just fills them all in. It's like it loses a sense of what is top and bottom. So I figured this out just by tinkering with it. I don't know if it's a bug or just the way it interprets stuff. And keep in mind, I'm trying to do something really odd with the curtain wall. I'm not making a curtain wall, I'm making furniture. So if I go back here to top and bottom, what I found out that works is if you take and make this shelf and this blank and then this top, I think this is what did it. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? So now it won't do that weird behavior. It's going to work every time. All right, so let's see, back to 7'4". Yeah. Oops, no, there's a new odd behavior. Let's see if we can fix that. Go down here and let's see if do blank bottom and shelf top. And then bring this up a little. Yeah, there you go. But it'll still do some oddities here at 7'4". Yeah, it's gonna have that little bit of a reaction there. Maybe bring it up 1 inch, but then it brings in the top. I recall that mixing those two up was the answer to get that to work. So I would recommend playing with, let's see, maybe blank here, shelf here, bottom here. Uh, 7'4". Yeah, so now that's clean. Quite unusual. I don't know exactly what that's about. But because, if I jump back, because it's supposed to look like this, right? If it was a shelving system, the pipes should just stop. You shouldn't see the horizontal, you know, it's a mullion. You shouldn't see that popping up, ideally. I understand sort of why the curtain wall is confused. It wasn't designed to do what we're doing here, but it works if you tinker with it. Okay, so now let's make these things actually pipes. So what you can do is go to Plan View, and let's go to 2D wireframe. Draw a circle with a diameter of 1, and type in Profile, D for Define. And it's always good in your drawings to have a generic 1 unit circle. That can be used by scale or settings in other places. And right click on it and say Set From. Click on this, then go ahead and do a center. No down here, and then just snap to the center of this, and you're okay. All right, and we'll go ahead now and we'll use that profile inside the curtain wall. And I'll go down to the, we'll do frames first. We'll just say use profile and width and depth. So it uses the values set here on that 1 unit circle. So the 1 unit will actually become 1.5, 1.5. And we'll do the same for all these guys here. Boom, width and depth, legs, boom, width and depth, and vertical pipes. Okay. So now it's all nice and round. Okay, and if you zoom in, you're going to start to see something that happens when you do curtain walls with round elements. It was designed for rectangles, so it doesn't want to clean up in a way that you would expect. So we'll do a little tinkering here, a little modification for the let's see, for the horizontal mullions or horizontal pipes. We'll go ahead and do this as a minus half of that 1.5. So minus 0.75, and we'll go ahead and put that value down here. like that. And for the legs, if I remember correctly, it's the end, and I'm gonna extend it all the way up to minus 1.5. Okay, and then for the legs, I will go ahead. Oh, I have that there, and I have that there. That's good. Let's see if that all comes out. So the reason well, let's start over here. You can see that works, and if I go to, you can see all I did was just protrude the horizontals all into the end pipes on both sides, right? So that works good. And then I didn't want to do the verticals because I don't want the verticals to get any taller or shorter. So I just made the legs shoot all the way up into that bottom horizontal, right? And when you render this or you do a projected elevation, you shouldn't see any of this stuff. It'll just hide that stuff. Oh, and so now we need to put some shelves in there in place of these panels. So this is a good chance to take a look at the, if you go here to Manage, and you go to the Style Manager, and you come down to Architectural Objects, there's something called a curtain wall unit style, which is really just a curtain wall that goes inside curtain wall. So whatever you understand about curtain walls, you can do like a sub-curtain wall. And I will call this one, how about box shelf? Okay, I'll double click on that. And you see it's all got all that curtain wall kind of stuff. So what I want to do here, I'll pull this over a little, I want to make a box that's 12 inches deep. So let's go ahead and do, we'll go ahead and just, I'm going to do it reverse of how I did it before, do the time here. So the primary grid, I'll just go ahead and set to fixed number of cells. I just want 1. Okay, and what I want for divisions, we got that, we just want the 1. What we want for infills, let's just go back panel, and I'll make the back panel 0.5, and I think I'll set this to back and something like -6. For the frames, I want maybe 0.5 and 12 inches, and I'll just leave the name here. There are no mullions, so that should do it. And we'll take a look. Okay, so I'll jump back to my curtain wall, and I will go down to my infills where we have shelf. We're now going to change that. We'll go ahead and set this right here to style, and we'll look on this list here. You'll see you can put windows and doors and even AZ polygons inside of a curtain wall, so that's neat. But here's the one I just created, and I will probably do an offset of -6 here. Let's see if that works. Okay, I didn't want them to shoot forward, so I will do an offset of 6. Oops. There we go. So now, theoretically, those should be boxes, and we'll take a look in the view, and we'll do conceptual. Okay, so they are boxes, but I have something inverted here. So I can go ahead and I can click on this, and I can go ahead and work on the infill. So maybe maybe it needed to be 6. There we go. And let's take a look if I lined up the back properly. Yep. So there's a piece of back panel in there. And then, of course, now that you can see, you can move these back and forth within the that system. And I think that's pretty much it. You can now test this to see if it's producing the kinds of results that you would like. You pull this out. Again, this kind of result here is because I've used fixed numbers. I did not use shrink or grow. That's something you could play with. If you use numbers that are divisible by 6. So for example, if I said 18 feet, then it'll work out like this. And each of these boxes will show you, this should show you, in the primary grid, except for when you did like odd numbers, these should all have the same value. If you look over here, it says 2 feet by 3 feet. But be aware that curtain wall units are kind of deceptive in the value that they will give you. So this is not actually 2 feet. This is 2 feet here. If I go from the center of this pipe and then draw up 2 feet, you'll see that that hits the 2 feet. So if that's 2 feet, how can this be 2 feet, right? And it can't. So what happens with curtain wall units when they're inserted inside the cells of a curtain wall, they read to the center line of the mullions. Just be aware of that. They are deceptive. That doesn't occur with doors and windows. It's just something that occurs with these curtain wall units. So if you really wanted each of these to be a specific number, you will have to compensate with your spacing on your verticals and horizontals. But hopefully this overview of doing this checkerboard pattern will open your eyes to all kinds of possibilities with the curtain wall style.